Welcome to the ISO Show, dispelling myths and sharing tips for success to improve your business with ISO standards, with your host, Mel Blackmore.
Hi, and welcome to the ISO Show. Today's guest is Alex Street, Head of UK Security and Business Continuity at Emcor UK, which is part of a world-leading facilities management group. Now, Emcor have got a pretty impressive portfolio of ISO standards. In fact, Emcor have got eight ISO standards that they're certified to. But you'll be pleased to hear we're not talking about all of them today. We're just going to be focusing on one in particular, which is an extremely topical area at the moment, which is business continuity. Now, just to give you a bit of background, I first met Alex when Emcor UK engaged in our services to implement ISO 27001, the information security standard, and also ISO 22301 a number of years ago. And since then, the company has gone from strength to strength over the years. So I'm absolutely delighted that Alex is joining us today to discuss business continuity in particular and how the system is helping them not just to survive, but to thrive during these difficult times. Welcome, Alex.
Hi, Mel. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Yeah, thanks very much for joining us today. So let's delve straight in by providing an overview of Mcar and its services. Could you just give us a bit of an overview, please?
EMCOR UK provides services to many leading organisations and, as you can imagine, some with the most demanding and technical challenging property estates in the world. And they trust EMCOR UK as their facilities management provider. As you can imagine, every business is unique, so we make sure that our unwavering commitment to engineering and FM services achieves measurable results. We've got decades of experience in delivering FM at the highest level, and we have a great track record collaborating with our customers to achieve high-performing, productive and sustainable workplaces. And we're proud to count some of the finest organisations in the world as our customers.
Great. So what kind of sectors does Emco work in then, Alex?
We work in a wide variety of industry sectors, and these include defence, life sciences, professional services, high-tech, manufacturing and public and utilities. And our reputation's been built on award-winning safety culture and a collaborative approach to facilities management, which obviously results in delivering value to our customers.
Great. And then so in terms of services then, I know with FM, there's hard and soft services. Could you just give our listeners an idea of some of those services that Emco provides?
Yes, so we provide both hard and soft services, and just to give you some examples. On the hard services side, it's sort of maintenance and PPMs. On the soft services side, it's from catering, security and cleaning. And we apply industry-leading capabilities, information technology, data science and IoT to create actionable insight to support our customers' investment, maintenance, property strategy and risk management decisions.
So your role must be quite varied then, considering you cover such a wide range of services. Could you just provide a bit more information on your role as UK Head of Security and Business Continuity, please?
Yeah, of course. So on the security side, basically I'm the sheriff. So I make sure there's a compliance in line with the Security Instruction Act of 2001. And we're obviously audited against specific requirements under the SIA ACS, and that's the approved contractor scheme. So for those in security, they'll totally understand where I'm coming from with that. So the security side is quite varied. I can be travelling up and down the country, visiting various locations and offering support where required. On the business continuity side, that was a bit of an add-on role, which I was really happy to take on in order to get EMCOR UK initially to sort out at least an alignment to business continuity British standard. But then obviously, as you said in your introduction, we engage with your good selves to certification to 22301. So effectively my role, business continuity side, is to make sure that we are operating within the standard, and when we're audited on an annual basis, that we try and pick up no conformances and obviously look to improve our business continuity management system with opportunities for improvement.
Good. So before we delve into business continuity in further detail, would you mind just sharing with us, what was the main driver behind implementing a business continuity management system at EMCOR UK and also for achieving certification?
So the main thing was, as previously, we were sort of aligned to the BS 25999, so we'd had something in place. But there was a recognition through PQQs that there was a drive and a main focus for our customers on EMCOR UK actually having ISO 22301 certification. And we saw that.
And sorry to interrupt you there, Alex. Just for our listeners, BS 25999, that was the British standard for business continuity, wasn't it, prior to it becoming an ISO standard? So I just want to kind of interpret that standard for our listeners, just so that they know what BS 25999 is. Sorry to interrupt. Carry on.
Oh, that's absolutely fine. So as I said, we were aligned to the 25999, and then through PQQs, there was then a focus on us actually having 22301 certification. And in actual fact, we just saw that as a great opportunity to bring the system up to date and in line with the standard. And, we undertook that journey as such.
Yeah, because I think you must have been one of the first within that sector at that time to achieve certification to the new ISO standard. So clearly you've been kind of ahead of the curve, for some time now. So in terms of achieving certification, what was the main driver behind that then? Was it kind of stakeholder, getting ahead of stakeholder requirements then?
So from our standpoint, EMCOR UK recognised that having a robust system in place enabled our business to see the benefits of having a business continuity system that would allow EMCOR to continue to deliver a service. We obviously looked at having a gap analysis done, see where we were, with the 25999 and where we needed to be for certification.
Okay, great. So just to touch on MCAR being ahead of the curve then, as far as proactively embedding business continuity, and you mentioned about the gap analysis. Could you just share with us then the journey towards implementing the standard and going on to achieve certification to ISO 22301?
Yeah, of course. So obviously what we had to do was look at what we were going to include in the scope. So a decision needed to be made there, what was in scope and what wasn't. Once that was done and decided, we engaged with our business and undertook BIA, so the business impact analysis process, along with a risk assessment. We reviewed the output of the BIA and RAs to understand what additional controls were required in order to sort of further develop our BCMS. The core BCMS documentation, so response plans, comms plans and objectives, etc., were also then put together. One of the biggest things, as I'm sure you'll appreciate, that it's all right putting all the documentation together, but you need to sort of have robust training and awareness program so that individuals understand their role in an incident. So we've adopted bronze, silver and gold approach, so the same as the emergency services and others. And as such, we put together a very good training program. We use our eSkills platform for bronze training, and the silver and gold training is more of face-to-face. But it doesn't stop there. We look at testing and exercising, internal auditing of our BCMS system, and that helps to verify that it's going to be effective. And then, finally, it's we look at our management reviews. It's the holistic big picture review of the BCMS, and that helps us to drive that continual improvement.
So given the disruption to businesses across the UK at the moment and also globally over the last few months, could you describe how the business continuity management systems supported MCAR over the last few months?
Yes, of course. So EMCOR UK as a business, and certainly at sort of senior level, and obviously including myself, So we were aware of the coronavirus threat from as early as December and were sort of keeping an eye on what was going on. And we effectively scheduled our first call in February. And then from March onwards, daily calls took place with the executive leadership team, who were the gold team. And we'd obviously then put together some other teams, so silver, made sure we had a silver team as well. And I think because we've got a structured BCMS, we didn't really need to go and search for processes or templates. They were all there and ready to go. And as we'd already tested our processes and strategies for 2231, we knew that our approach of dispersing our staff to work from home was going to work. We'd already tested that. And obviously we needed to, as part of that testing, needed to ensure that they had the resources required. And it's worked. That there have been some teething problems, but nothing that we haven't been able to rectify and deal with. And as a whole, we as a business have carried on functioning. We also recognised that we had to adopt a consistent approach for the rest of our business. So our operational contracts on the ground, whilst they're out of scope, post-COVID-19, we will be adopting the best practice approach for them to put more robust plans together. So they've got stuff in place, but we're just going to have that consistent approach in line with the standard.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so that said, we haven't stood still. We're not just going to wait until post-COVID-19. We've already started to roll out some of that, our BCMS structure and templates to the teams on the ground. And basically that gives EMCOR, the UK, the platform where we are able to continue to operate our contracts with fewer challenges during the incident. I have to say that, our approach has been extremely positive, and as a result, our customers have been extremely complimentary on how we've conducted ourselves during the incident and continue to conduct ourselves as the incident carries on, and how proactive we've been. And I think that's a testament to EMCOR UK as a whole, in that they had a vision, from the top buy-in, that business continuity was important, and that was going to help us to continue to give a service. And look, it goes without saying, we followed our BCMS and also incorporated all the guidelines from the government. So that's helped us a lot.
Good. Yeah, because I think that, a lot of organisations have just been reacting instinctively to what's been going on over the last few months. But I think the fact that you already had a culture of building in resilience into the organisation, it sounds as though it's really stood you in good stead, that you were fully prepared because you tested all sorts of, obviously nobody could have imagined, what the country would be going through. But at least you'd obviously put into practice and tested all of your backup plans, all of those response plans as a result of doing those detailed business impact analysis to really understand where the risks were, both to your business and also to your clients. So I'm sure it provides a tremendous amount of assurance, to your clients that you've got those systems in place and you've been able to invoke them seamlessly as well. So I'm really pleased to hear that, it's worked well for you, because I think the thing is with business continuity, it hasn't been as popular as some of the other standards like ISO 9001 or 27001 for that matter, although it is growing in popularity at the moment. But I think it's because business continuity has always kind of been at the bottom of the agenda, that it's not necessarily been seen as a top priority. But clearly it's paying back in dividends for MCAR that you did put it somewhere at the top of the agenda and you implemented the systems and achieved certification a number of years ago, and you've had an opportunity for that system to mature. I think it sounds, as though it's progressive as well. It's like you say, it's not just standing still. You're rolling that out to other divisions and areas within the organisation. So well done for that, Alex. It's great to hear such positive news coming from, the work that's been done over the last few years, in particular in relation to resilience and business continuity management. So just moving on then, what would be helpful is if you could provide some examples of how you've proactively minimised risk to the business and to your clients over the last few months.
Yeah, so I think an early recognition that, what was coming was going to get bigger. So there was that early recognition. We were quite quick to identify the need to communicate out to business and the supply chain. Also, as important was communicating with our customers and let them know what we were doing. Ask them if there was anything else that they needed, from a support point of view from us. It's all about that continued collaboration. I think that's really, really important. You work together with your customers, your supply chain, and the wider business as a whole. And with that collaboration and that approach, that's what gets you through, especially, this type of incident, any type of incident. We've had lots of people within our business that have stepped up where they've needed to be involved, done it with a smile, and we've got that sort of one team ethos which has shone through. But we haven't stopped there. Where we can, we've supported our supply chain. We've established quite an extensive remote working capability. And one of the things that was quite fortuitous for us, and you can say, did we plan it or did we not for the incident? Probably not. But part of our sort of project rollout on our IT side is we were effectively migrating to Office 365. And with that came the requirement to change out laptops and so on. So it was fortuitous that we had a lot of stock available. So where people perhaps didn't have a laptop, we were able to get them out quite quickly. So that was probably a bit of a happy accident that coincided with this current incident.
Good. And so in terms of lessons learned then, obviously you mentioned one or two there, but are there any particular aspects of business continuity looking back now, not necessarily just at the last few months relating to the pandemic, but over the last few years, that you think has been helpful that you can then apply moving forward?
Yeah, so as you can imagine, we're still sort of living and breathing this as a live response. So we haven't quite formalised all our lessons learned. As you can imagine, it takes a live incident to see whether your BCMS and your response plans are actually going to work. Tabletop exercises and tests are okay to walk through sort of elements at a high level, but you don't really know that it's going to work until you're in a live incident. And then you're at that point, you can test every aspect of your plan. I think other lessons learned, once we certify, probably a little bit slow off the mark to roll out the best practice approach for our contract teams, and because they were beyond scope. I think had we rolled out the toolkit earlier, could have provided some additional early doors resilience for the contract teams. But that said, we were quite quick to rectify that and at least give templates and guidance on how to complete them. And that was quick to do. So, could have done things a little bit quicker after we certified. But hey ho, that's the way it goes.
Exactly. And I think, one thing that people need to remember is that with ISO standards, they're all based on that plan, do, check, act model, aren't they, of continual improvement. And that's the whole point of having that system and certification in place is you don't stand still. It's not, okay, job done, we've got a BCP in place. It's, okay, we recognise that there is always room for improvement. But you've got the tools in the toolkit to be able to do that and to be able to review and monitor the effectiveness of them and to, just to keep on improving it. So great. So just finally then, have you got any advice that you'd like to give, Alex, for any companies that haven't got a business continuity plan or system in place that can, what kind of advice would you give them to improve their resilience?
I think my advice is, don't get caught out. The standard's there. You can align to it if you don't want to certify. So, there is a starting point. It is easy to align to, but I will say this and be brutally honest. Got to put the time and effort in for it to work. Once you've adapted to the standard, you've got to get that business buy-in too. I think, business continuity isn't down to one person or one department. The whole company needs to understand that they have a key part to play in ensuring that, a company can continue to function during an incident. So that's that effort, time, and the work from all areas of the business that's required. What I will say, the benefits far outweigh the risks of not having an effective business continuity plan in place. And I think communication's key. So remember to communicate with not just your internal stakeholders, but your customers, your supply chain. Make sure that they've got something in place. We've been able to help some of our customers with their business continuity plans and assist them along the way. And finally, I'd say just remember it's a team approach. You're all in this together. It's not just one person.
They're great tips. Thanks, Alex. And just thanks very much for joining us today. I think, the insights that you've provided us today have been so helpful. And I think there's lots of takeaways there, I think, to enable our ISO listeners to consider and to take back into their company potentially. Just talking about the ISO 22301 standard, I had mentioned in a previous podcast that standard, and there's actually a series of resilience standards that are currently available free of charge at the moment. Normally they're, I think, retail at £150 plus each. So we'll include links to how you access those free standards in the ISO show notes. So Alex, if our ISO show listeners would like to find out more about MCOR services, where do they need to go and how can they get in touch?
Yeah, not a problem. I can give you two websites you can go to. So www.emcoruk.com. Alternatively, you can go onto LinkedIn. So www.linkedin.com/company/emcor-group-UK-plc.
That's brilliant. Thanks very much for sharing your ISO 22301 journey with us today and all those tips and resilience on business continuity. Thanks, Alex.
You're very welcome.
Right. For further information on how to implement ISO 22301 and the benefits, please check out our previous podcasts that we've been running recently, which is obviously available to download on podcast players. And also just to remind you that there is an e-learning course available on our website as well, and there's a discount available. It's all the information on 22301, free access to standards and discounts on e-learning, plus MCOR's contact details are all going to be available on our ISO show notes, which is available on www.blackmoresuk.com. So thanks once again for listening, and I look forward to catching up with you on the next ISO show.
Looking to use ISO standards to drive better business practice? Contact us at blackmoresuk.com to access further information and book your free 15-minute call.